Notre Dame fans, you are going to be familiar with the last name of Notre Dame's newest commitment in the 2022 class. Donovan Hinish, a 6'2", 270-pound defensive tackle from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Central Catholic, has committed to Notre Dame. His older brother is Kurt Hinish, who has played for Notre Dame since 2017. His brother's already actually played 4 seasons for the Fighting Irish, but took advantage of an extra COVID year of eligibility for this 2021 season. So Kurt's final year with the Irish playing the defensive tackle position is 2021, but Notre Dame will have another Hinish on the interior defensive line when Donovan comes to South Bend next season. Before we dive into what this commitment means for Notre Dame, make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to our channel if you're not already, and go to blueandgold.com for all coverage of Donovan Hinish's commitment to the Fighting Irish. Donovan also held offers from the likes of Akron, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Coastal Carolina, Kent State. Pittsburgh was a Power 5 offer for him, and really was Notre Dame's biggest competition to land Hinish, although I really don't think it was that close. We'll touch on that in a minute. Toledo offered him, UCF, Virginia Tech, the other P5 offer that he had, in Western Michigan. So that was Donovan Hinish, about a dozen offers that he held. Donovan has known the Notre Dame coaching staff for years now, with his brother being on the team, and he's taken more visits to Notre Dame than he can count, as he's gone over to South Bend so many times to see his brother play throughout the years. Here's what Donovan has to say about Notre Dame. The tradition is a big thing. I love it there. The culture and atmosphere are incredible. The biggest thing of all is their academics. It's one of the best schools in the entire world. That full story is at blueandgold.com. Let's pop on the tape and see Donovan Hinish. Biggest thing for me, for what I describe Hinish, is a war daddy. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He was listed at 6'2", 270, and Kurt was listed at 6'3", 280 when he was a high school recruit. But now Notre Dame lists Kurt at about 6'1 3/4, about close to 300 pounds. So I don't think that Kurt has, shrunk an inch and a quarter in a few years. It's, sometimes with these high school, height weight listings, they're a little bit embellished. Maybe that they were measured with shoes on, I don't know. But so Donovan is probably about 6'1.5", or maybe even Kurt's same height. So he's not the tallest guy in the world, doesn't have the longest arms, but he is an absolute workhorse. One source I spoke to today told me that Donovan is a coach's dream with his work ethic, just how hard he goes after it every day, every play, practice, rep. Donovan gives it his all. Great footwork, solid technique. You see him playing on offense as well this past season. Again, War Daddy on the interior is definitely going to play an interior defensive line spot for Notre Dame. I think he can have a pretty similar career trajectory as his older brother Kurt. And for folks, that might not be fired up about this commitment as they would a 4-star, top 100 player nationally. Look at Kurt Hinish's career. Like, that is a darn good football player and someone who has helped contribute and played a ton of football games at Notre Dame. 50, if I'm not mistaken. Has played over 1,300 snaps at Notre Dame as well. If Notre Dame can have Donovan Hinish have a similar career as Kurt has at Notre Dame, Mike Elston and that staff will sign up for that every day of the week. In looking at some of Hinish's accolades during his first few seasons at Pittsburgh Central Catholic, named to the 2020 Post-Gazette WPIAL All-Conference 6A First Team Defense, and a 2020 Pennsylvania Coaches Class A 6A Second Team Defensive Tackle. Max Preps also lists Hinish on its 2020 Pennsylvania All-State Second Team Defense. The Tribune Review lists Hinish as Western Pennsylvania's number 4 overall recruit in the 2022 cycle. Rivals lists Hinish with a 5.7 recruit ranking, which is the highest designation for a 3-star prospect, number 33 defensive tackle in the country, number 15 player from his home state of Pennsylvania. We talked about his brother Kurt, but the football background in this family goes back even more. Quite the athletic family. His father, Kurt Sr., played football at Division II Slippery Rock. His older sister was on, I believe she played volleyball there, or no, she ran track there. Oldest brother, Corey, was a tight end for Division I FCS Robert Morris. Uncle Christian Hinish played a couple of seasons at Georgia Tech, and cousin Jacob Hinish played for Yale. Hinish received his offer from Notre Dame November 19th, 2020. The Irish were actually the first school to offer him. And I went through the other offers he received earlier in this video. And again, it was pretty clear right away that if Notre Dame wanted Hinish in its 2022 class, that's where he was going to end up. Donovan loves Notre Dame. Notre Dame, by all accounts, clearly was high on Donovan. And it was just time for Donovan to commit to Notre Dame. And he announced his decision here Friday evening, June 4th. So Hinish is Notre Dame's 4th defensive line commit in this 2022 class, number 14 overall. Take a quick look at the other 3 players committed, and then a couple names you definitely need to keep an eye on. Darren Agu, originally from Ireland, and then grew up most of his life in the United Kingdom. Listed as a 5.7, the same recruit ranking as Hinish, number 27 athlete in the country. Rivals list him as an athlete because he also is getting some looks at tight end, but Agu will play Viper for the Fighting Irish. Next up, Tyson Ford, listed at 6'4", 262 pounds, the number 70 overall player in the country, number 6 strong side end. Ford is a big dude. He's someone who could play defensive end, maybe the big end position in Marcus Freeman's defense. Maybe he plays defensive tackle, depending on how much he bulks up. But this was a big win for Notre Dame over Oklahoma and several other schools. And then Aiden Gobira, high 3-star recruit as well, the number 28 weak side defensive end. Some other websites have Gobira much higher in the rankings. Rivals still sees him as a 3-star prospect. We'll see if that changes. Listed at 6'6", 230, kind of like Ford, maybe not quite as much, but he is another prospect who might just keep getting bigger, and Notre Dame plays him potentially on the inside. He has a frame where he could keep growing. So overall, with Gobira, Ford, Hinish, and Agu, a solid quartet already committed. Could Notre Dame land more defensive linemen? Cyrus Moss from Las Vegas Bishop Gorman's the number 80 player in the country. He will officially visit in June. Anthony Lucas is a big-time Notre Dame defensive line target as well. He's out in Arizona. 4-star prospect. Notre Dame is still in the running for Ernest Cooper, a defensive lineman from Texas. So Notre Dame with 4 defensive line commitments already, but they do not appear to be done. That's it for this video. Make sure you let us know in the comments what you think about this commitment for Notre Dame and its entire 2022 class. The Irish also picked up a graduate transfer offensive line commitment earlier on Friday from Kane Madden from Marshall. So exciting stuff for the Notre Dame football team on the recruiting front. We've got it all locked down at blueandgold.com. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next time.